need to ask about... We're live! Oh my gosh!
I have to go all on egg. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to May, and welcome to the AA Social Media Abstinence Show with myself, Olag Bamoni, and Sarah Arrow, and our fantastic guest all the way from America. You're in Washington, D.C. Is that where you are?
Yes, right. I'm in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. T.C. Cooper. Big round of applause, Sarah. Where's that clapping?
Oh gosh, I can't find the clapping on the Oh, that's it. I'll clap. I'm such a slacker on the sound effects today. I was just so excited to be talking to TC that I didn't install them, and that's really, really just no good.
I'm not allowed to install the sound effects, TC, because whenever I do it, I clap.
Oh, yay! How exciting!
Okay, so TC is all the way from Washington, D.C., as I said, and I'm really, really excited to have TC, because not only is TC a great social media Don, as they're now being called, but she's also on my list of the top 100 most influential black people on digital social media, and I'm really, really excited about having her. You know, I did a lot of research to find out about TC. She's going to tell us all about what she does today, and she's going to help us answer some of the questions that we often get asked about social media. So welcome, TC.
Thank you so much for having me. I am excited about being on your show and talking to your fantastic audience all the way across the pond, as sometimes folks say.
So cool. That really is. It's just like a global world now. Anyway, so let's start by just explaining to people what you do. So, TC, tell our audience over here in the UK what you do and a bit about your company and what it's called as well.
Oh, sure. So my company is called Upward Action. And that is intentional because it's all about people taking action to move their business forward and upward. So that's why we're called Upward Action. And at the company, we help experienced consultants and also lawyers get into the online space. So we help our clients leverage social media and internet marketing tools to communicate with their audiences and to attract new clients. So we build out those programs and campaigns and strategies for clients. And we also have a fun new brand called Mogul Moxie, and that brand is all about helping women in leadership really build their courage and build their confidence so that they can go on and lead their fantastic organizations that they either own or have important leadership positions in. So that's what we're up to over here at Upward Action.
Brilliant.
And I have to say quickly, thank you so much for including me on your list. It was quite a surprise and a huge honor, and so I certainly thank you for including me in your list.
Oh, you're welcome. My son just came and stood by the door. For some reason, they're not at school, and he just stood there, and now he's gone. I don't know what he wants. Let me shut the door. He's 14, so he's not very communicative.
It's like an hug in the doorway, and you're meant to translate that into feed me, water me, take me somewhere. Oh.
I don't. He better not come back. I'm on now. Sorry about that, TC. It's always confusing here because we work from home. Do you work from home? Are you home-based office?
Yes, I am.
And I was just going to come back and say I'm absolutely honoured to have you on the list. Discovering so many empowered black women who could be on the list was just amazing. And I'm particularly interested in what you were saying because Sarah was asking you this before we came on air. So Sarah, perhaps you can ask again, because a lot of times when I talk to lawyers over here and bankers and anybody else who's regulated, they are like, what? Social media? Are you crazy?
And that is the thing. There are lots of industries that face strict regulations, such as insurers, financial advisors, as well as lawyers, and in particular also medicine as well. I've got friends that are pharmaceutical marketers, and what they can say and what they can't say is highly restrictive. So how do you get your clients to embrace social media, which is about openness and transparency when they've in effect got one hand tied behind their backs with the regulations that restrict them, and it's quite probable that they're quite fearful of actually stepping their toe into the social media pond for fear of getting sued or breaking one of the regulations and facing a huge financial penalty for doing so. So how do you overcome that?
So that's a great question, and you're quite right. Regulated entities have different concerns than lots of small businesses that are not in regulated entities when they're using social networks. And so I'll talk separately about financial professionals and lawyers, because the rules that govern those industries are quite different. And so when we're working with, and I should say first, the first key for all of these industries, regulated industries, is to be very strategic when using social media. So oftentimes small businesses will just hop on a social network and they'll start tweeting and they'll start posting and they'll start blogging, and they'll have no idea about why they're doing what they're doing or what the intended goal or outcome is. So one of the advantages to being in a regulated entity is that you have to go into social media being very thoughtful and strategic about what your outcome is. So the first thing is to have a clear goal so that you can build a...
Oh, we lost her.
You stopped. Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was fantastic. I don't think she's gone. Maybe her broadband's just hiccuped. Do you know when it starts buffering? I can still see her. TC, are you back?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, you stopped mid-flow.
Oh no. Okay, I'm back. Where did I stop? I'll pick up. Lawyers like to talk, so I can talk.
Not Google, it's so reliable.
Yeah, I think we were at the part where lawyers can go into social media from a strategic viewpoint and know what their end goals are, compared to small businesses which can just jump straight in feet first and start making connections almost immediately. So
that's a great, yeah. So that's a great point. And I should say small businesses should not do that, but that's often what they do when there's no penalty for them doing it. For regulated entities, they have to be more thoughtful when they're entering the space. And so what we advise our clients to do in regulated entities is first, think of the information that you're providing as pure content, not advice. And so the goal becomes to educate the audience about whatever your area of specialty is, and not to provide information about a particular person's circumstance, right? So that's kind of the overarching way that you create content. It's about providing factual information, not opining upon something that an individual is going through. And that actually becomes a great way for our clients who are in regulated entities to build what I like to call social brand authority, because then they become very strategic about educating their audience. And a lot of times they'll say, you know, a great way to start having content, and you can also go back and forth with your audience online, is to say, what are like the 10 questions that people should ask you before they hire you? You wish people would ask and they never ask. Answer those questions and start to share in that way. Now that's for lawyers. For financial professionals, it's quite different. And sometimes we have clients, and what we do is create a content strategy. We create the specific types of information that's going to be shared, and then have that information approved. Because FIREA here in the U.S. can be very stringent. Now, there are new rules that have come out in the past 6 months that govern social media, and so we have been working with our clients to comply with the new kind of guidance that's come out from FIREA about social media. But I hope that gives you a flavor. The way that you can help the folks that you're working with is having them be very strategic and focus on providing information that educates and not opinions, right? Or kind of speaking specifically to people's situations. I said a whole lot. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely, and it's very good, because when you think about it, it doesn't really matter what business you're in. You should really be taking that strategic view, because it's very easy in today's very litigious society for anybody to take what you say as advice and then for them to apply it and not get the outcome that they thought you were going to get and then come after you. So, but the whole idea of providing an education platform, your content is to educate and inform as opposed to deal with specific people, I think is equally applicable to everybody, regardless of whether or not you have a formal regulating body, particularly in the Europe now, because we have the EU and there's so much European legislation for people who didn't think they were regulated. So, for example, alternative health professionals, there's now so much that they can't say or advise or make claims that, you know, has really restricted them. But this whole idea of, actually, I'm here to just give you the answers to the questions you should be asking before you hire me, or to provide new information about an area that's up and coming in this subject is not only does it give you great content, because you've always got something to say, but also keeps you out of trouble. So if you're listening, you're a small business, the best way to stay out of trouble on social media is to provide information that educates and amuses and not advise.
Now, for viewers, sorry.
I want to add just one more thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah.
No, go on. Go on, add your bit.
So just one more thing, because the other thing that's important is to know the rules in your industry. So the other thing is, when we're working with lawyers and financial professionals, you got to know what your bar association or what the state bar has said about attorney advertising. And so that also guides the type of information that you can share and how you share it. So you got to know what the rules are for your regulatory body. And we help our clients because we know those rules, but we also require that the clients have someone there who also knows the rules. So I just wanted to add that bit.
No, that's excellent. Excellent point. So what were you going to say?
Right, for those people that don't know, what's the difference between advice and education? Because they're two great ways of connecting with your audience. We'll address opinions in a moment, because there's something that have got tremendous traction on the web, but we'll come back to that in a moment. So for somebody who's just starting out, how do they know what they're talking about and what they're sharing is education compared to advice?
So one quick way to do it is to speak in general terms. So if I am providing education about what often happens in a particular situation, then I'll say that, instead of addressing a person and saying, here is what happens or what should happen or what I think about your particular situation. So one easy way to do that is to speak in generalities instead of a specific solution for a specific person, or speaking or writing as if what you have suggested is the only way to handle a particular situation.
Right, so would that be where you use marketing language to connect with your audience? You use the word you quite a lot, as in, you must try this out, or if you were in this situation, and you use the word you to focus on the person that's reading the content. Are you saying that's something that they shouldn't do, that they should be more generalistic and say something like, if in these circumstances, whereas you could say, if you were in these circumstances? Would you take the you out of the conversation?
So it depends on the content, right? And depends on the context in which you're writing. And so I would often start with depending on, again, what the information is, I might say, and in lots of cases, if X, Y, and Z were to happen, here is how you could handle it. Mm. And so you have now given an introduction to your content that makes it clear that this is one way to deal with a particular situation, but opens the door that there are other ways that you would deal with it. And the other thing that's important to do, especially for people in regulated entities, is to add disclaimers, right? Mm-hmm. And so we tell our clients, and this is why you have to be clear about what your regulatory body requires as far as disclaimers, but you might want to add at the end of your piece that this is not legal advice, right? This is given for informational purposes only. And business owners consultants may want to do that as a general matter, right? I'm a coach and I'm a consultant and I have, insurance, too, because I give advice as well. I provide information that can be taken as advice. So it's all about how you frame your content. Not so much about exactly what you say, but how you frame it, and then the types of disclaimers that you add at the end, and throughout, at the end and.
It's good to have them as part of your terms and conditions on your website anyway, so that it kind of governs everything that you've got. If you don't want to keep repeating the same disclaimer at the end of every article, which can look quite like, why are you telling me anything if you at the bottom of it you've just said everything I've said above isn't there's no merit to it, because that's how sometimes people.
Well, not quite that. Not quite that. Don't say it has no merit, but you just want to share that it's information. It's information for you to consider.
No, I know that's not what we write, but that's how people read it, isn't it? They just think, oh well, everything you just told me, you're not prepared to be bound by. I remember doing some work with a big consultancy, and they wrote at the bottom of the work we paid them £250,000 for. I'm thinking this. Some legal statement that absolved them of all responsibility that the advice we'd paid for might have. I just was in the stitches.
It's not good. No. I can remember talking to a client, and they became a very long-term client. I'm no longer working with them, which is a shame. I love them. If they wish to come back, well, that would mean starting a new business, but that's neither here nor there. And one of the things when we first started talking, because I find for the regulated entities it is a longer sales process because they like to be more thorough in checking you out before they hire you. And they were talking to me about blog content, and they seemed to be really concerned about putting their opinion out there. And I said, well, you can put a disclaimer at the bottom. And they said, what sort of disclaimer? And I said, well, who's the lawyer here, me or you? And they're like, well, I don't know what sort of thing that I need to write as a disclaimer. My next question was kind of, and my response to it was, well, who's the lawyer here? If you can't write a disclaimer at the bottom of your blog post that is not going to get you sued, what kind of lawyer are you? And they're like, yeah, I get your point. And I said, well, you can't ask me to write your disclaimer. You've got to write that yourself, and you've got to use the words and the language that you're comfortable with, and you have to put it at the end of each post. And we settled on having it in actually a little image at the bottom of each post, and it was added to the template, so it couldn't be forgotten that it was always under every piece of content. But it just seemed to me to be a silly question that a lawyer was asking me with zip legal experience how to draft a disclaimer. If anything, I should be going to them, getting that information.
Well, it's a good job you didn't mention their name, because now everybody on the internet is thinking, well, definitely not going to hire that lawyer.
They were brilliant lawyers. They were a family practice.
Anyway,
this is new.
We do every week is run over time. Okay, so and not that it matters, but we're going to try and be a bit. So I'm going to move the conversation on a bit. I'm going to be the Jeremy Paxman. Jeremy Paxman is a interviewer over here. That's midnight. She's put the music. So moving the conversation on, because there were a couple of other things I wanted to ask you, and particularly. The first one, continuing on your business theme, is about how you use social media in your own business. Because Sarah, stop it!
Hurry up, woman! Come on!
How you use social media in your business? Because remember, you're on my list as one of the most influential Black people on digital and social media. So tell us a bit about how you're using it to boost your business, to boost your profile. What do you do so our audience can get a bit more, information about you.
Well, I absolutely love social media. I don't see everyone. Can you ladies hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I love social media. It has been game changing in our business, which is why I help other people use it. So I use Twitter in particular to make connections, to meet people, to have conversations I would not ordinarily have. That tool has landed me on the cover of a magazine in Black Enterprise, which is a very popular magazine, hear just loads of clients from conversations with influential people on Twitter that have led to business. So that is one way that I use Twitter. Twitter is also a great way, and we use it to amplify the content that we create. So once you build relationships on Twitter and you increase your audience there, it's a great, great way to drive traffic back to your main website or to your blog. So that's how I use Twitter. Facebook has also been a fantastic way to expand my audience, but also really connect with people. So I do a lot more kind of connection, one-on-one connection with our prospective clients or people who may come and buy our products and our programs, and that tool has been helpful there. We also use LinkedIn a lot. Lawyers love LinkedIn, consultants love LinkedIn, financial professionals are there. And so in LinkedIn, I use the groups in particular to share information and also to make connections, to promote programs that we have coming up. So LinkedIn is very helpful there. I am a newcomer. I resisted Google Plus for a long time, but we're starting to use Google Plus more now as a way to amplify our content and also support the work of other colleagues. So that's kind of in a nutshell the primary social networks. Now, if you use Upward Action, we're everywhere. We use SlideShare. We use a whole bunch of other tools to amplify the messages. But the social networks that I just mentioned are our primary ones. And the way that I run it at Upward Action at my company is I respond to all feedback that comes in personally.
Oh no, we've lost her.
Hang on a minute. We still, so long as we can see the picture in the bottom, I always hold out hope because she may have just frozen again, doing the max headroom thing, and then so that the internet may just bring her back. If she disappears completely, we know she's gone. But it is a transatlantic call, and we've done really well. Oh, please come back, TC. We love you. This was great.
Yeah, I mean, we've had Turkey, we've had Italy, we've had Canada, other places in the US.
We've had other places in the US. It might just be the rain. It's probably
bonds that comes in.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you disappeared for a long time.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, you're back again. Yeah,
we've got to the part where you responding personally to all of the feedback that comes in.
Okay, so I'll just say I respond to the feedback, but I have a team, and a lot of times we have meetings. Well, we always have a meeting once a week, and they are responsible for amplifying the message on the various social networks. So that's kind of how I use it in our businesses.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Very good advice. It's and I like that.
I love that applause.
It's good. You could don't try and install it today because last time I did, we broke the Hangout, and that was at the end.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, it's really good to to have your divisions of labour around your social media like that. Because I talk to a lot of people, and they say, "Oh, I don't like doing this on social media. I don't like doing that bit." Or what I particularly hate is amplifying the post. I absolutely detest that bit. So I pay other people to do that because it's just tedious, and I like speaking to people. So one of the things you can do when you're managing your social media is do the bits you like and pay other people to do the bits that you don't like, because you need it all. No one says that you have to be a jack of all trade and you have to love doing it all. And I know that can be quite hard if you are a small business and you haven't got much resources, but there are ways, if you divide the job, go back to Henry Ford and the production line. You divide the job up, you can pay for a little bit. And just think, rather than you spending 5 hours doing something that should take you 20 minutes because you hate doing it, paying someone to do it is, it's not going to take them the 5 hours that you do because, they're just going to get on and do it. So that would be my advice. Divide up the work, do the bits that you love, and give the other bits to other people who love doing that bit.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's the way it has to be. Mm-hmm.
Have I suddenly gone really dark? The sky in London has just gone black.
Oh, no.
Can you see? Have I suddenly do I suddenly look like I have to put a light. Go put on a light. Did that make any difference? Yeah, you can see me again.
Way.
It's going to rain very hard. Because it's a bank holiday weekend. TC, in the UK, whenever there's a bank holiday, the gods know. And actually, it's Sarah's fault. Because Sarah's having a barbecue tomorrow. You say the word barbecue.
And that's it. Bad weather. Automatic.
On the day of the barbecue, it rains.
And I did say, the barbecue has wheels, and if it rains, I will just wheel it in through the patio doors and barbecue in the lounge. I really don't care. No amount of rain is going to stop me from having a barbecue.
Okay, this is TC. This is a lawyer in me. I'm not a lawyer, but I used to work in a regulatory body. Okay, for all those people listening, it's a bad idea to bring an external barbecue into the house while it's light.
So if you hear of a house getting burnt down the weekend in Essex, you'll know it was me bringing in the barbecue while it was still connected to the gas.
Oh my God, Sarah, I'm bringing Kevin. You are not allowed to bring the barbecue in the house.
You are such a spoil sport. We live in England. When would we ever have a barbecue if we didn't drag it in the house when it rained?
What you do when you're barbecuing, it starts to rain, you put the food in the oven. So you take it off the barbecue, and you can buy these smoky things from Tesco's that make it smell like you barbecued it, and you put it in the oven.
Oh, I just can't be doing that, love.
I've just
it's not an
Sarah's
authentic
life. Her children thank me.
Was you giving me advice, or was you giving me education?
No, I was giving you an instruction. I've got way beyond advice. That's just a plain instruction.
Well, we're going to be running out of time, so let's move on to the next question. Have you got a question, Ola?
Oh, I got that timer.
So the last thing I wanted to really ask TC about was just about the list. I know you said you were really grateful to be on it, and the reason I created the list was because I noticed that Black people weren't being included on the other list, and I just wanted to hear a bit about your, what the experience is in America, because a lot of the people on my list were in America. And and then I got a lot of people commenting saying, hey, what about this person? We've got loads of people over here. But it's very different in the UK. So what's the experience in terms of recognition for Black people on social media in America?
Well, you're right. There are a lot of big lists, and there are not a lot of Black folks included on those lists, and sometimes there are not a lot of women included on lists. And I think that a lot of it is because, these lists are created by individuals, right? And so individuals take data, and then they use the data and they combine it with their own experiences and with the people that they know and the conferences that they attend and the people that they interact with, and then they compile these lists. And so if people's exposure to Black folks in social media and to the causes and the issues that we're concerned about, if they're not exposed, then a lot of times I feel like we're excluded, right, from those lists. And so that's why I think lists like your list your list is so important, and especially because it's so well done. I spent like an entire Sunday afternoon going through everybody there, and I saw lots of people who I'm friends with and who I know, because again, they're in my my sphere, right, in my circle, and lots of people who I didn't know, but now they're on my radar. And so I think what happens is when you have more lists that are specialty lists, then it raises the profile of people so that other folks who are making lists for Forbes and for Inc. and Entrepreneur and those places, they now have a reason, or more of a reason to get to know more people. And I think that the more we are exposed to each other, the more that you'll see folks of color included on some of these lists.
Oh, excellent.
It's just kind of what I think. And it's also going to conferences and meeting people, right? I just came back from Infusion.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said, TC. That might have just been my connection, but I didn't hear what you just said.
Oh, I could say it's also about folks kind of going to conferences, large national conferences, and meeting folks and interacting with people who create the list, because then, it also kind of helps to raise their profile. So, I think there's a lot of work to do for all of us.
Yeah, I do agree. And I'm going to make it an annual thing. So I'm going to ask the people who are on the list to help me create the next one. So all those people have sent me messages and comments saying, why weren't they on the list? Now you've got 12 months to put yourself on the radar. That's the short of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, TC,
it's a great challenge.
You. So again? Did you say
something? It's a great challenge for people. It's a great challenge for people to up their game.
Absolutely, absolutely. I now look what do you call it? Mystical, like heavenly, because the way the light is shining down on me, it's kind of. Oh, my bosom looks quite good as well, didn't it?
Sit down, woman. Now the thing is, we've just spoken about these lists, and a lot of people say things like, oh, I'm never on those lists. Now, if you're sitting here and you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm never included, go out and write your own list, okay? Just go out and research and find another 99 people, including yourself, and create your own list. And put it together and promote the people that you never see on a list. Firstly, you're going to give them a big boost. And secondly, be part of the solution rather than sitting there moaning and saying, nobody ever adds me, nobody ever knows. Gosh, it even looks like a halo now. It's totally put me off my stride. But you can't just sit there and say nobody includes me. Go out and create your own list for your own niche, and don't make it a small one because any person can knock out 10. Make it huge, make it massive, make it really, really big, and include lots of people.
I made a big mistake then because I'm not on my list. No, actually, I think you shouldn't put yourself on the list. I think being the list creator, it's almost like you can't be judge and jury in the same court. You're a lawyer, isn't it? You can't be judge and jury in the same court. And so I think you shouldn't be on the list. You're the list creator. I don't think you should put yourself on the list. Because where would you put yourself? Either at the top of the book?
Yeah.
Kind of hard.
At the top.
Even with quite a criteria. You can't really be objective. I could have been above Obama.
For me, sweetie, you're definitely above Obama.
Right? You can frame the list. Frame the list and introduce yourself as the most important person. However, you have other people.
I like that one, TC. I do. I think a list of lawyers on social media would be an excellent list, for your industry. You know, the people who are actually rocking social media in the legal profession. Because over here, you'll be. I think our regulation is slightly different. They've only just started to allow lawyers to advertise because they weren't allowed to advertise in the UK at all, and I think barristers still can't. But they now solicitors can now, but they're still very reticent about being on social media because it's a new thing. In the same way banks are as well. They're only just beginning to embrace it because there's a lot of fear. But I think a list of lawyers and people who are doing it or rocking it, even though they might be in the States, would be very encouraging for all the other lawyers hiding behind the pillars of institution. Because you know what?
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I'm going to have to think about that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. So, word of warning: it takes forever. It's a really big piece of work. It's not like you can knock up in 5 minutes. I'm just warning you. Well, the only thing I was going to say, it's really worth every regulatory authority thinking about social media, because the naysayers who are saying that social media is not here to stay really are not looking at the writing on the wall. So social media is going to be with us forever. This is how we now communicate, and it's growing and exponentially. Each year there's a new way of using it, of bringing it into our lives, and so you can't ignore it. We're growing a generation up who have nothing but social media. So in the same way we spent hours on the telephone, do you remember doing that, Sarah? You'd come home from school, you'd ring the person you just left.
Yeah.
For 4 hours. Our kids don't do that, which is good because it was very expensive. Social media at least is cheap for parents, but they're on it. They live their lives publicly, and they're going to be the adults of tomorrow. So it's not going to go away.
It's not.
It's not.
Okay. Go on, Sarah. Say what you were going to say.
Is there any more questions? Because I'm completely out of questions here, love.
I'm out of questions. I just think if TC wants to tell us anything about her business or any program she think might be useful to our lawyers over here, by all means, here's your chance to do so. You're only allowed to do promotion if you're the guest. Sarah usually promotes other stuff, which I've banned her from promoting. And so, look, she's doing it again now. Just random items from the supermarket. And other people's books. But we don't allow that.
I love that.
Only allow the guests to do a bit of promotion. So it's up to you. So stop it. Is there anything? Is there a program that would be particularly useful that you have, or anything you'd like to sell? Go to your website. Just tell us what your website is, and you know.
That is what I would suggest. That, like, if you're listening to this, we primarily do consulting and coaching programs, and you can learn all about that on our website. And so if you visit me on upwardaction.com, then you will learn all about the programs that we have, and you'll also see an opportunity to have a strategy session. Oh, are you ladies still there? Everybody froze.
We're here.
We're here.
We're here.
Great. So that's what I would do. I would encourage everyone to come on over to upwardaction.com, and the lawyers will see where we have a special community just for you called Lawyers Launchpad, and you can get there from our website, and people who are consultants can also access our information from the website too. So just come on over and visit us. And we're on all social networks, so follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/upwardaction. Come on over, hang out with us on Facebook, facebook.com/upwardaction. And you can also connect with me personally on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/upwardaction. So that's where we are everywhere. So just reach out and connect.
TC, I've just been listening to you for 30 minutes, and do you know what? The light's just gone on, even though I put it behind me. My brother is a partner in a legal firm. He's a solicitor.
What?
And he said to me, oh, we're going to be thinking about our social media, so I'm going to connect you two on Facebook. I know you're in America, but he does business in America a lot, and in South America, and in Spain. So he does international law. So yeah, he'd be a great connection. So I'll connect you two as well afterwards.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it's all about networking. See the power of social media. Look at that. Live in action.
That's exactly right.
Okay, let's say goodbye, because we have only by 7 minutes today. Last week I think we were over by 25. But today, yes, it's been a great show. It's been a great show. I've really enjoyed having you, TC. I'm so honoured that you decided to come on. Yeah, and maybe everybody else on the list could come on too. Obama.
Lennox Lewis.
Beyonce.
East End Boy.
Yeah, we'd love you on the list. We'd love to hang out with you too, because it's a great way to get to know you, and for other people to understand why you were on the list and they weren't. Anyway, we'll be back here again next Friday. Who's our guest next Friday, Sarah?
Not got a clue. I will look it up and I will post it underneath the post when I embed the video and share it with my audience.
Okay, and we'll do the same. And yep, it'll be up and available to embed for you and anybody else who wants to do it towards the end of the day. The person who still hasn't done last week's one.
Where did we find you?
Okay, before we disintegrate into our usual laughter and mayhem, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much, TC, for joining us. We've really loved having you. I'm amazed at how fantastic you look so early in the morning over there. Now I'm going to have renewed vigour to go off and do my training. I'll see you on Facebook and Twitter. Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.